Morning, children. Today we will study chapter 7th, Glimpses of India, and it has three parts. Glimpses is glances. So here we'll see some parts of India, a glance of it, and it is divided into three parts. The first is a baker from Goa, second is Coorg, and third is tea from Assam. So first we'll see the first part, that is a baker from Goa. So the story A Baker from Goa is a pen portrait of a traditional village baker of Goa. They still hold an important place in the society. The elders still remember about the good old Portuguese days and the loaves of bread of Goa. The time-tested furnaces still exist. The third and jingle of the traditional baker's bamboo heralds the arrival in the morning. This sound can still be heard in some places. The son still carries on the family profession in the absence of their father. These bakers are known as padar in Goa. So during the childhood of the author, the baker was considered to be his friend, companion, and guide. He used to come to his house at least twice a day. The jing-jang thud of the bamboo of the baker woke up all the people in the morning. The children ran to meet and greet him. The baker made his musical entry on the scene with a jing-jang sound of the bamboo. The baker used to greet the lady of the house saying good morning. Children were pushed aside and the loaves were delivered to the servant. The children started eating loaves of bread with tea without caring for their toothbrush. Without bowl, the sweet bread, marriage gifts were meaningless. On each occasion, bread was considered to be important. On the occasion of the engagement of daughter, the lady of the house prepared the sandwiches. Cakes and ball-and-hearts are a must for Christmas and other festivals. The baker used to wear a peculiar dress. It was known as the kabai. It was a single-piece long frock up to the knees. The bakers wore a shirt and trousers which were shorter than full length and longer than half pants. Even now, the people who wear half pants below the knees are called padar. Baking was a profitable profession. Monthly accounts were maintained on the wall with the pencil. They led a happy and contented life. Their prosperity and happy life can be seen from their plump physique. So this is all about the first part. Now the second part we have is Coorg. So Coorg or Kodagu is a smallest district of Karnataka. It lies between Mysore and the coastal town of Mangalore. This land is abounded with evergreen rainforests, spices and coffee plantations. On this land, the season of joy begins from September and continues up to March. During the monsoons, it rains heavily. That is why so many visitors keep away from this place. The people of Coorg belong to Greek and Arabic descent. There is a story behind it. When a part of Alexander's army moved towards south coast and settled there, they could not return to their native place. These people married amongst the locals. Their culture is reflected in the martial traditions, marriages and religious rites. The black long coat worn with waist belt is worn by the Kodavus. It is also known as kupia. It is like kufia worn by the Arabs or the Kurds. Coorgi people are famous for their tradition of hospitality. A number of tales of bravery are related to their sons and fathers. In the Indian Army, the Coorg regiment is very famous. General Cariappa, as we all know, is the first chief of the army and he was also a Kurgi. In our country, only Kodavus are permitted to carry firearms without a license. There are hectic activities around the Coorg area. Mahashir, kingfishers, squirrels, and langurs are found in abundance. Elephants are being bathed in the river by their mahots. River rafting, canoeing, rappelling, rock climbing, and mountain biking are the main activities of Coorg area. Birds, bees, and butterflies are also there to give company. Macaws, Malabar squirrel, langurs, etc. keep a watchful eye from the tree. The Brahmagiri Hills gives a panoramic view to the landscape of Coorg. There is a rope bridge that leads to the island of Nisargdhama near Bailakup. The monks in red arch and yellow robes give more surprise to the visitors. And now we have the last part of the glimpses of India, that is tea from Assam. Pranjal and Rajveer are two close friends. They study in Delhi. Pranjal hails from Assam and his parents live there. Pranjal's father is a manager of a tea garden in Upper Assam. Both the friends start their journey from Delhi to Assam by train. Both the friends talk to each other. The tea vendor came up to the window of the train and started shouting, "Chai garam, garam chai." They take 2 cups of tea and start sipping. Rajveer tells that more than 80 crore cups of tea are drunk daily throughout the world. Tea is very popular. Both the friends also start reading detective stories. They take outside view of the fields. It was really a magnificent view. There were tea bushes and the tea plants outside. There was also a building with smoke coming out of old chimneys. It was a tea garden. Assam is called a tea country. It has the largest concentration of plantation in the world. There is a Chinese legend about tea. There was a Chinese emperor who used to boil water before drinking it. A few leaves of the twigs were burnt under the pot, and then they fell into the water, and that gave a delicious flavor to it. Actually, they were tea leaves. There is an Indian legend about tea too. Bodhidharma was a Buddhist. During meditations, he used to cut off his eyelids because of his sleepiness. 10 tea plants grew out of the eyelids. Then the leaves of these plants were put in hot water and drunk. Tea was first drunk in China as far back as 2700 BC. The words like chai and chini originated from China. It is the 16th century tea came to Europe. It was used as their medicine. At last, the train reached at its destination. Both the friends deboarded the train at the junction. Pranjal's father received and took them to tea estate where he was deputed. There were tea bushes on both sides of the road. Numerous tea pluckers keeping baskets on their bags were plucking the new leaves. Rajveer told Mr. Barua, Pranjal's father, that May to July are the best months for tea plantations. At this, Pranjal's father told him that you have good knowledge about tea and it seems that you have done your homework properly well. At this, Rajveer told that he wanted to seek more information about it, and with this our story ends.